Thanks for coming. All right, let's get started. It's 9 a.m. at least here in Washington, D.C. So welcome, everyone. This is the Spring 2022 ENTS Virtual Open House, organized by the Masters in Telecommunications program at the University of Maryland. My name is Zoltan Safar, and I am the program director, and I'll be your host throughout this event. We do understand that making a decision regarding your graduate studies is an important one, so we have put together this little event to provide you more information so that you would be able to kind of think through what aspects are important to you and make a more informed decision regarding whether to choose us for your graduate studies. So during this event, first we'll have a number of presentations where we'll provide you some information about the program in general. Then we will highlight some of our exciting elective courses. And then you will also get a chance to meet with, not just me, the programs director, but also some other faculty members who you would be interacting with quite a lot, including Dr. Delamo, our advisor, should you choose to come and do your graduate studies here at University of Maryland. And finally, this will be a great opportunity for you to interact with our current students. So we have a panel of 4 students, 1 second-year students and 3 first-year students who would be here for you to answer any questions you may have. So our coordinator, Ms. Gerda Marvelous, is right onto our inbox. She is monitoring the incoming emails. So whenever you have a question, please feel free to shoot the email. So I think maybe I can just roll ahead to show you where the email is. Here. So the email you could see on the screen, it's telecomprogram@umd.edu, but it's also the email you received the invitation from. So you can just reply to the email and send us any questions you may have, and she's monitoring the inbox, and she will forward it to us, and we'll be happy to answer your questions. Alrighty, so let's move on with our agenda without any further delay. And the first agenda item will be a short program overview, kind of giving you a bird's eye view of our program. To start with, our program, the Masters in Telecommunications program, is a cross-disciplinary program. That means that students who come here for their master's education will be exposed to both technical courses and business courses. So our program kind of bundles both technology and business in one package for you. Accordingly, the program is run jointly by the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department and the R.H. Smith School of Business. You might say that the home of the program is at the EC department, but we work very closely with the business school. We have a liaison, and we work very closely with them regarding various administrative and student-related issues. Our current program size, these are kind of last year's data because we are kind of in the middle of 22 right now. Last fall, we had 49 enrolled students, and last year we graduated 51 students. So, during the pandemic, we definitely got a hit, and our numbers got reduced. But we are hoping that now that vaccines are widely available and kind of in many countries, the virus is kind of under control, that our enrollment will go back. In particular, I'm hoping that for fall 22, we'll have larger number of students than what we had for fall 21. Alrighty, so let's kind of take a look at a number of differences that exist between your kind of run-of-the-mill, kind of traditional EC master's program versus our program, the Masters in Telecommunications program. So first off, many traditional master's programs tend to be more theoretical. So they have more courses on the fundamentals, mathematics, a lot of theory, theorems, proofs, and so on and so forth. On the other hand, our program focuses on practical hands-on education. Our program is very, very industry-oriented. So the main goal of our program is to prepare you for a role in the industry after graduation, okay? as kind of a corollary, we are not the best program for people who want to continue toward their PhD. Like I said, our courses are really industry-oriented. They don't teach you a lot of math, not a lot of theory. So those courses are not very applicable for starting research after graduation. So if you're interested in joining, I don't know, Apple or Juniper or AWS after graduation, then we could be a great place for you. In addition to that, like I mentioned, our courses mix both technical subjects and business subjects, versus a traditional master's program where you would typically study only technical subjects. Okay, so business courses are very important. You can ask any questions if you want from the students later regarding this. If you have worked for a number of years in industry and you're looking to get promoted, then business courses will become very, very important for you to really be able to see the big picture, to understand how the business operates in a company at that kind of higher level. Since we are so industry-oriented, we keep track of industry trends very, very closely, and we have a very, very fast response to technology trends. Versus a traditional master's program where usually they decide on the courses like well ahead, at least 4 or 5 years. A professor would say, well, I'm going to teach random processes this year and 2 years from now and 4 years from now and 6 years from now and 10 years from now. And, they just have this, fixed schedule of fundamental courses. And that's perfectly fine, obviously. It serves a different purpose. However, since the purpose of our program is to provide you industry-oriented education, we have to be more nimble than that. So we have to make conscious effort to track the trends in industry, see what new technologies are coming up, and create courses accordingly, so that whenever our students graduate, they would be really kind of up to date on what's happening in the industry. And last but not least, our faculty members typically have both academic and industrial experience. So our full-time faculty, Dr. Delamo, Dr. Marcado, and me, have both academic and industrial experience, which means, we were at universities and, as, assistant professors or various teaching and instructor and positions. As well, we have worked in industry for a number of years, so we understand what's happening and what we need to watch out for. In addition to that, we have a number of part-time instructors who work in the industry full-time, and they can bring in kind of industry best practices into their courses. And contrast that with, the traditional master's program, where most faculty members are, kind of full-time faculty members who only teach, and they may or may not have very good connections in the industry. Well, this slide shows the cross-section of our courses. We have a lot of courses to offer, so for the details, please refer to our website. But I'm hoping this slide gives you kind of an overview of what kind of courses we have. Being a telecommunications program, obviously, we really have a lot of courses in wireless communications and networking. So that's kind of the technical core of our offerings. In addition to that, we have a number of business courses, some core courses, and also we offer some electives if there is interest in that area. In addition to these core areas, we have been expanding our offerings over the past few years, and we have offered some courses in cybersecurity and computing. Now, during the pandemic, we unfortunately had to shrink a little bit, kind of contract our offering, reducing the number of electives. But I'm, very, very happy to report that for this fall, we already have an increased number of electives, and we are hoping that, during the next year or so, we'll be able to offer more and more of these courses and go back to, to the level, hopefully, where we were before the pandemic hit. All right, so what should you expect after graduation? Like I said, our main profile is to prepare you for a role in industry after graduation. Accordingly, this is a slide that shows you some of the companies that hire our students after graduation. This is kind of a dynamic list. Companies come and go depending on the state of the market, depending on the state of the technology, depending on their finances. They have their own cycles. But historically, Cisco has been taking, Juniper has been taking a lot of our students. Amazon, most recently, Hughes Network System also takes a lot of Qualcomm. Yeah, definitely, it's a big one there for wireless students. We also have some students who go to Apple. Facebook picked up quite a few of our students more recently, so maybe I should update the slide with some of these more recent guys. And I just had a discussion with the CTO of Google, not the big CTO, but who is the CTO for kind of the networking division, Bikash Kohli. And he definitely expressed interest in hiring more of our students. So Google might also show up on this list. Alrighty, so after I graduate, what kind of position do I take? So this is the slide that tries to answer that question. And there are various names of roles. This is just kind of a sample of some of the more common roles and positions our students take after they graduate. On the wireless side, RF engineer is a typical position. Test engineer, RAN engineer is typically something students would go to. On networking side, network engineer. More recently, there are people who are taking the role of network automation engineer, as kind of network automation is becoming a more common role and a more important role, as the size of the networks are growing, so much that you need some automation skills to be able to handle the scale. IT sysadmin is also a typical role our students pick up. And then software is also an important one, like software quality engineer, software developer. Some of them are programmers. We have students who become software engineers, for example, at Juniper or Cisco. That's kind of a typical path they take. And then we have some students who take roles which are kind of at the boundary of technology and business. And I think our program is, kind of prepares those students very well for that. Here, product marketing engineer, that's a very, very good. Business analyst is a very, very good position that would kind of exemplify those. All right, so let's talk a little bit about COVID. That's an unfortunate topic. It's not very interesting, but I think I just would like to kind of draw your attention to a number of issues that you have to be aware. As most of our students are international, so they need to enter the United States on student visa. And so, I just would like to kind of give you some information about what to expect and how to prepare for your journey to the United States. So what we expect for this fall is that we're going to be in person. So education will continue just like we've been doing it this year, starting spring. It will be in-person education. You may or may not be required to wear a mask while sitting in the classroom. The current rule is that you do need to, but this may change. It's kind of, at this point is undetermined. But anyways, the most important thing is every student is required to be vaccinated against COVID-19, because obviously you need to protect yourself and your classmates whenever you're there in person, okay? And for now, at least the current latest rule is that you need to be, number one, fully vaccinated, and plus you need to have one booster shot. So for example, if you have received, I don't know, 2-component vaccine, like Moderna or Pfizer, then you would need to have those 2 shots and plus 1 booster shot. Okay, so that's what currently is considered as being up to date with vaccination here on campus. Okay, so this is kind of a campus-specific rule. Different universities in different states may have different rules, but this is what's happening here, okay? If you're an F1 or J1 student, an international student, you may enter the US without vaccination, but the important thing is, number one, you need to bring a negative COVID test with you. They might not even let you in the country, I'm not sure, you know, but I would definitely recommend that you bring a negative COVID test. And plus, if you are not vaccinated, then you would need to get that taken care of before the first day of classes, okay? So before the classes start, you would need to get the vaccination then here in the United States. So the nice thing is that the University of Maryland has a great health center, and you can get the vaccination for free. So once you register for your courses, you get your student ID, you become a student, and you will get access to many of these services for free. So you don't really have to pay for it, but the important message maybe is that you would need to be really fully vaccinated, plus having one booster shot before the first day of classes, so that you would be able to, in person, show up and sit in a class, okay? So that's very important. So the recommendation is, obviously, if you have not been vaccinated, get vaccinated as soon as possible. If possible, try to get Pfizer or Moderna. If that's not available in your country, that's fine. Just get whatever is, you know, appropriate. And please make sure that you get and bring a written proof of your vaccination, okay? There is no globally agreed on system for this, so every country issues their own thing, unfortunately. So, you know, you just work with whatever you have, but please make sure you bring a written proof of your vaccination. And if it's not in English, please get it translated to English, because the authorities here may not be able to handle your own native language. So please make sure you have an English version of your vaccination proof. And then it's also important, if you're planning to enter the US before 48 hours, please get a test, and hopefully a negative one. Obviously, if it's positive, then just delay your travel until you get well. But please make sure that whenever you enter the country, you have a negative COVID test with you to make sure that there is no trouble, and the officer will let you in the country without any trouble. Alrighty, so much on this topic. So now we are getting to the next agenda item, and so I would like to ask Dr. Alejandra Mercado, our Associate Director, to please come forward and say a few words about our wireless lab facilities.
Thank you
Please.
very much. Just going to minimize this. I'm not going to close it so you can get back to it. And hello, and welcome to our virtual open house. My name is Alejandra Mercado, and I would like to talk to you a little bit about the ENTS Wireless Communications Lab, which is equipped with software-defined radios that students use in our labs to build custom transceivers. Now, the lab is equipped with EDIS B210 USRP units. No, I don't. The USRP units support a real-time bandwidth of 56 megahertz, and they work within the range of 70 megahertz to 6 gigahertz. Each station, each radio, is equipped with a Xilinx Spartan 6 FPGA and an analog device's AD9361 RF front end, and each one has a 2x2 MIMO capacity. We connect stations to each other, so what you're seeing on the screen is that every adjacent station is communicating with its counterpart station, either through antenna or through coax cable, depending on the specific lab that we're working on. When timing is not part of the lab project, then we have a universal timing using the EDIS octoclock. And when part of the lab is actually doing synchronization and timing, and clock recovery, then we disconnect the octoclock. We typically work with New Radio Companion, which is the software that handles the drivers for the radios, and it provides the RF front-end signal processing blocks to program the USRP. Students will develop and they will test and run signal processing algorithms and perform modulation, demodulation, pulse shaping, synchronization, equalization, all kinds of fun things. In our OFDM class, which is going to be offered this coming spring, not the fall, but the spring, our students implement an OFDM transceiver pair, which includes a cyclic prefix and CFDR reduction and equalization. And the project typically has one station transmitting a file, it could be an audio file or any kind of file, to another station wirelessly using antennas through OFDM. Just today, before I came here, I received an email from a student who's now working, and their company is sponsoring them for a green card. So he was asking for, some letters, skill set letters. And as we ended our conversation, he said, I am so grateful for everything I learned in these two labs that I had with you, in the 622 lab, the digital communications lab, and in the OFDM lab, because these were exactly the things that were so helpful to him in his career. And, I get these emails and it just makes my day. So I thought I'd share that with you. The other thing that our program does is it supports engaging students in extracurricular endeavors. For example, the 5G protocol stack development group. This is a platform for students to work on open source code base for LTE and 5G software in the software-defined radios. This group, it's a student-led group, and it was started with by our alumni, Surbit Sinha and Darshan Joshi. They spearheaded the effort to run SRS-LT on software-defined radios, and they actually wrote a proposal, and Dr. Safar actually read through the proposal and approved it and funded it. So they got their equipment, and they implemented at that time SRS-LT 4G, the software suite, and that included the LTE UE software and the eNode B software and the core network software. All of that was done by them. Later, those folks graduated and moved on to their own companies, and then other students sort of took over leadership of the group. They later changed to, instead of using SRS, they decided the open air interface. They bought a UE unit and they programmed the SIM card, and so instead of doing it from radio to radio, now they were doing it from like a phone to a computer. It was really interesting. They got their video through. The chairman of the FCC came by, and he was really impressed with it. He tweeted about our team. It was very fun. They managed to get downlink data rates of like 16 megabits per second and uplink 6 megabits per second. So that was exciting too. I hope that you're interested in our wireless communications group. I hope that you're interested in coming to our courses that deal with it. And I will turn the podium back to Dr. Safar so he can talk to you about more of our ENTS labs.
Thank you very much. So let's get going with that. So I have a few slides about, I guess, what is our newest lab in the whole EC department. So the Juniper networking lab was, I think, just opened during fall 2019, I think just before COVID hit us. So this is a lab where we house most of our networking equipment. So if you're a computer networking junkie, then this will be a place where you really want to live and take a lot of courses and work with the devices. So here on the slide you can see two pictures. The first one is kind of a general picture of the whole area, and on the right side you could see the routers and the switches, and then on the left side you can see kind of a zoom-in view of how the students use this infrastructure. So in this lab we have about 60 SRX240s, and about 40 MX5 routers. So these are all Juniper devices. The lab was built and equipped with generous donation from Juniper Networks. So we have a very, very good relationship with the company, up to the point that they donated, I think, $300,000 for us or to us to build this lab. So we are obviously very grateful for that, and we keep working together with them since then. We also have a bunch of switches. Both the EX3200s and the 3300s are basically layer 3 switches, so they are capable of performing some layer 3 functionality. They are primarily access switches, but you can configure OSPF on it and some simple versions of BGP as well. Okay, it doesn't do advanced stuff like different route reflector and that sort of thing, but basic BGP it can also handle. And then finally we have 3 servers. And those servers run a number of virtual machines, and the students use those virtual machines to interact with the devices. So on a typical, during a typical lab, the students would either directly SSH into these devices, or they would log into their own assigned virtual machine, and then they would log into the devices from there, depending on what the goal is. We have some courses like ENTS 640 when they learn how to manually configure these devices. So then you just typically use SSH and you use the command line interface to interact with the device. And we have another course, the network automation course, where the students actually interact with these devices programmatically. So they write Python code or Ansible playbooks, which would run on the virtual machines, and then they would kind of indirectly interact with these devices. There's a number of topics you can learn here. This is just kind of a sample of things that are, I believe, very, very important practical skills, at least in the computer networking area. First off, you would learn about the Juniper operating system and how to interact with these devices using the command line interface. Okay? This is a little bit different from what you might be used to. It is not as kind of free and versatile like just a general Linux CLI. However, after you learn its philosophy, you will learn that you can get things done much faster. Okay? There's a lot of ways you can kind of learn how to get help, how to do autocompletes, and how to very, very quickly complete your configuration tasks once you get familiar with the whole system and how it works. Students also learn about how to configure interfaces, different IP addresses, how to create logical interfaces on physical interfaces, how to assign IP addresses to the logical interfaces, and so on and so forth. They also learn about the most important thing, obviously, routing. This is what routers are for. So typically they learn about static routing, sometimes RIP, even though RIP is kind of an old routing protocol. So nowadays we mainly focus on OSPF configuration. So you will definitely learn that. In addition to that, we also have a lab where they practice how to configure firewalls. Those are basically stateless firewall filters, but their language is very, very similar to the Juniper's routing policy language. So they would also learn the syntax and the semantics of how to provide firewall rules and how to configure those rules in those devices. And in some advanced cases, they might learn about additional topics. For example, some students did projects on MPLS configuration. So these routers can also be used for MPLS. You can do VLAN configuration if you would like, and some more advanced stuff like routing across different VLANs. So once you come here and you're really interested, I think we will be more than happy to give you opportunities to work with these devices. In fact, right now, some of these labs are built into some of our core courses. So unless you place out, you will have to go through that. And I think that's a very, very important practical exposure to a kind of working system where you learn how kind of an industry leader's equipment works and how to interact with them. Alrighty, so after this, I would like to ask Dr. Rikin Thacker, please come and give us a little presentation about some of your courses that you're offering. This one?
Yeah.
All right. So, Rikim, please come and let us know about distributed antenna systems.
All right, thank you. All right, well, welcome. Good evening, good afternoon, good morning. We have different people from different time zones here, so welcome. Well, first of all, I would say congratulations, you are here. That means you care about your future, and that's actually setting you apart, so kudos to yourself. I'm Rikin Tucker. You will see me for some of your electives. I've designed and been teaching for ENTS department since 2019. I designed more than, I think, 4 graduate courses so far, and that ranges from Wi-Fi fundamentals to DAS and small cell. That is the focus of in-building solutions for 5G. Network evolutions, that is the cell site and design side of it. And also, occasionally we offer another elective, and that is microwave engineering. A little bit about myself. I've been in the industry for more than 20 years now. Very few people know, but I graduated from the same department long time ago. When I joined the industry, 2G technologies were peaked, 3G was getting started, and have been involved in the 4G design and planning and building activities, and for last 5 years or so have been involved in the 5G design and deployment side of it. As for my current role, and as Dr. Safar and others mentioned, I'm an adjunct faculty, so I work in the industry. I work as a Chief Technology Officer for Wireless Infrastructure Association, right outside of DC. WIA, and you'll hear more about my organization there, but we are made up of more than 200 member organizations, and that represents entire 5G ecosystem, AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile, all the cellular operators in the US, also many tower companies, as well as integrators around the US. And they build, maintain nation's wireless infrastructure. And the reason I'm mentioning is that many of those employers, many of those companies actually come and hire our graduates. So that is the focus for our program entirely, that we want to create this curriculum which is industry-oriented. We know what's working in the industry, and we bring that in the classroom. Last thing I want to say is that, why this program is unique. You already saw this, but that is the main thing. We bring hands-on exercises. We bring cell site visits, field trips for the classroom. So this is not your conventional graduate program you would see at the typical EE or ECE departments elsewhere. Let me briefly talk to you about one of the courses I teach. This course is going to be offered in the fall semester, this fall. It is the DAS, small cell, and 5G. And as we know, 5G deployments have started since 2019. We started the trials in 2019. The commercial deployment started in 2020, but it is still in the early phases. And why the in-building wireless solution is so important? Because more than 80% of the data traffic originates from inside the building, whether it's residential complexes, whether it's corporate offices, and operators, they need to make sure that there is enough coverage available inside the building. It was not an issue until 4G. Because our frequencies that we use, airwaves we use, they were coming from low end of the frequency bands, and that's why the signals were penetrating properly inside the building for most cases. But as you may know, 5G is actually unlike anything. We are actually bringing frequencies from mid-band and very high millimeter wave bands as well, and the propagation characteristic, which we are going to learn in this course, they are very unique. The signal is not going to travel further, and because of that, whatever you deploy outside of the buildings for 5G, the signal might not be able to come inside effectively. So you need to come up with innovative solutions, and that's what you're going to learn in this course. DAS stands for Distributed Antenna System. Small cells are nothing but miniature cell towers that you can actually mount right at the traffic signal pole or utility pole, or you can even mount those small cells throughout the building as well, just like how you deploy your Wi-Fi access points and routers around that. So in this course, we will talk about different types of architecture. We will talk about data offloading techniques that we have been mastering in Wi-Fi, but how we can actually use data offloading technique through DAS and small cell. We are going to learn about different types of DAS, active versus passive. We are also going to talk about outdoor solutions as well. For example, stadium where 80, 90,000 people gather. How are you going to actually make sure that your cellular connectivity have enough capacity? Your macro towers will not be able to provide capacity. So we need to talk about how effectively distributed antenna system can provide that coverage as well as capacity. As I mentioned, we'll talk about the RF propagation as well. The best thing, there are many great things, but one particular thing I'd like to mention here, and that is our partnership with IBWave. IBWave is a Canadian company. They are the default software planning and network planning software application throughout the world. And we have partnered, and we are the only university and only department in the world where they have actually donated their equipment to us. So we have 25 of their licenses in our lab. That is actually worth about $500,000 of donation they did. And our students actually will be able to use this software. We bring the actual industry problem into the classroom, and we design the entire in-building solution using this particular software. And the additional benefit is that once you go through this particular course and finish the semester, you are automatically at the level 1 IBWave certified engineer. And there is a huge demand for this engineer. So you can imagine how our students are actually in demand, and you will hear more from our students as well. And based on the performance we have seen from previous graduates, before our students graduate, they often have more than one offers. Because our industry right now has a lot of demand for 5G skilled workforce. And also, we are going to do a field trip, particularly for this course, where we go to a live in-building network. We witness how it works, and students will be able to actually see all the cable routings and all the equipments that are actually going to be at one particular location of that building, and how all the operators come together to provide the in-building solutions there. Very briefly, I just want to mention that throughout this course and many other courses in our department, our focus is to explain how the future technology is actually coming to play. Of course, 5G is in the discussion. Believe it or not, 6G is on the horizon. And when I say horizon, of course, 7-8 years down the line, but the discussion has started. And as and when we are going to see more development, our courses are going to bring more updates around this. But of course, for the courses I'm teaching, they are all heavily involved into the 5G deployment. We talk about spectrum, we talk about spectrum efficiency, different techniques that are available, MIMO, Alejandra mentioned earlier, carrier aggregation, and so many other things we are actually going to cover. And of course, the third piece here, and that is more cells. Cell towers are not going to be sufficient. You need to be innovative, and that is, we need to create more small cells. And just to give you a number, in the US right now, we have 110,000 cell towers. Compared to that, we are going to see close to 1 million small cells in next 5 years. So that will tell you what kind of activities we are going to see, and that should also tell you what kind of demand this organization is going to have for skilled engineers. So coming to this department, coming to University of Maryland for ENTS is going to be a right investment for you. And lastly, I just want to briefly mention that there are different network capacity solutions available. And just the third one I want to focus, this is what we're going to address in this particular course. I know I'm taking a little bit more time here, but this is going to be my last slide, just to again focus on the emphasis that we are industry-oriented program. You can see here we take our students to local regional conferences. We host conference on campus as well, and one of the photos actually shows students doing Enritsu hands-on and IBWave hands-on as well. That is actually in essence what keeps us different and why we are actually unique compared to other options you may be considering. So I hope you all come and join, and hope to see you all this fall. Good luck. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Tucker. And then we have one more elective we would like to showcase, and that is our Internet of Things course, or IoT for short. So I'd like to ask Dr. Mike Dalomo, who's our Associate Director and also who is our student advisor, to please come and talk about this course.
Well, hello. My name is Mike Dalomo. I am, among other things, the other Associate Director and the advisor for the program. So in general, when you get here, you will spend some time talking to me. One of my first jobs will be to meet with every one of you that actually come to the program. We'll have an orientation for you to show up for, and then I'll want to meet with you. And I will attempt to make sure that based on what you want to do and based on the program requirements, that you end up having a really productive first semester. You're on the right track. You'll be able to take all the great electives down the line and have a successful career. But what I want to talk about today is one of our courses, the Internet of Things Laboratory course, and 669J as we call it, and subtitled Building the Internet of Things. And I'd like to point out that I actually started this course during the pandemic. Starting a laboratory course during a pandemic is kind of a almost crazy thing to try and do, but it turns out that it worked really well. Students were able to actually work with equipment that, the equipment is fairly inexpensive to buy, and we could actually get things done and lend them some stuff, and it all worked very well. This year was the first year I actually got to teach it in person, so I was very excited. Anyway, so let's talk about the Internet of Things for a second. Everybody talks about the Internet of Things. Vehicles, personal and pet monitoring, controlling. Agricultural automation is becoming a very big thing, and the ability, what they call farm IoT, has become a really important thing. Building management, security, telemedicine, smart homes and smart cities. All these things constitute, examples of the Internet of Things, machine-to-machine communications and so forth. But what is it really? Well, the definition that a lot of people espouse is the interconnection of processing power in common objects, allowing them to send and receive data. Okay, very nice. Cisco, at one point, reported as part of their annual report that there were more things on the internet than people, which is an interesting fact. And a lot of people think this is new and novel. The scary thing is Cisco reported this back in 2008. So we have come a long way in the last 14, 15 years. Every car you buy today has some connectivity. Smart homes and smart cities have progressed. Dr. Tacker and Dr. Mercado just talked about 5G, which is going to bring this even further closer. Machine-to-machine communications is one of the core use cases of 5G. Nest thermostats, ring doorbells, or whatever you want to call them, that relay all sorts of information and allow you to monitor your home. Just about every cable provider in the U.S., Xfinity and Cox in our area, but wherever your internet service provider is, they will dearly love to sell you Internet of Things capability. And let's not forget Alexa, Google, Siri, shut up Siri, who will undoubtedly want to comment on this. Okay, so what is this Internet of Things laboratory class? What is the course about? Well, if you go out on the internet and you look for presentations, articles, courses about IoT, you'll find plenty of them. There are literally tens of thousands of these things. They're very high level. You feel really good reading them, but the content is kind of, you get done and you feel good, and that's about it. We're not going to do any of that. That's not what this course is about. What 669J is about is building things. We are going to build things, prototypes. I'm not going to try and sell something, but we're going to build a prototype, going to access it locally, and we're going to put it on the internet so that it can be accessed from anywhere, anyhow. So if you want to do that, what do you need to do? Well, number one, if you're going to build an IoT device, you need a device. So we spend some time building devices that will interact with the environment. And that's great that I've got a device, but now I need to be able to do some kind of high-level processing with it, so I need some sort of computing engine that'll control the device, allow it to operate autonomously. And finally, I need to be able to connect the device to the internet to allow interaction with other devices or with people, however I'm going to do that. So going through these, the device, well, we're going to create prototype devices that can sense and interact with the environment. We're going to use a microcontroller, typically an Arduino. This year I was using the Arduino Uno. There are other options. We'll see where we go with that. And we will eventually create fairly complex devices. The device you see here is actually a thermostat. It senses light, humidity, temperature. We've got other sensors that we can put on here. And it has actuators, things you can touch or things that will touch you, motors, buzzers, buttons, that kind of stuff. And it has a very rudimentary programming capability that we'll utilize, but it's rudimentary. You can't exactly write an operating system on this thing. And we'll be building various different devices that we can interact with. Then there's the computing engine. The computing engine will be able to control this device and possibly several devices. It allows local interaction with the device. It allows sophisticated decision making. You can program it at a high level. In Python we will use to do this. And it should be a small device. The idea here is it's the thermostat, the control center that connects to all the sensors. So we'll be using a single board computer for this, a Raspberry Pi, Pi 0, one student used this semester, that we will connect with a touchscreen display so it actually can be used as a device. And if you're sitting here thinking about trying to build all this stuff, well, number one, if you're going to build a touchscreen display, you're going to need GUI. You're going to need some sort of interactive. So we have to learn some GUI programming so that we can actually build a realistic display. And then finally, you want to connect these devices to the internet. First, well, we'll connect them to a computer. That's the most elementary connection you can make. But the next step is to be able to put them on the network. All right, the picture here is an Arduino with a networking shield. There are also Wi-Fi connections that can be done. I'm looking at trying to work that into the course in the proper way. In order to connect things to the internet, of course, number one, you need to understand how the internet works and how Ethernet works at a very basic level. Nice thing about our program is after you get through 640, you're pretty well aware of how the internet works. So this is pretty easy to get up to speed on for our students. Next thing you need is some kind of protocol to talk to things. Well, HTTP is what everybody thinks about. You get on the web, you're using HTTP. That's great for humans. Not such a great protocol for devices. It's a very heavy protocol. So what we will move to is what they call a pub-sub set of protocols, the MQTT protocols, to be able to talk to our devices. This is very common for IoT interactions. And then finally, if you actually want this to be on the internet, you've got to put it on the internet. And to do that, we have to set up a cloud service. We will use Amazon Web Services. We create what's called an elastic cloud computing instance. Amazon is very good about letting people in academic settings use stuff on their system. We'll be making fairly rudimentary use of it, but we create this instance on the internet, and we'll have to create web accessible programs. We'll have to write a little web server. We'll have to write an interaction server that can talk to our other devices and put this all together. And finally, for those of you who want a preview of the course, I can tell you what the final exam was. The final exam was, can I find out the temperature in your living room from my cell phone? If I could, you pass. And that's basically what our Internet Things of course is about. I'm going to turn it back over to Dr. Safar, and we'll introduce a panel of students, I think, is the next event.
Exactly, so thank you very much. Put back this slide. Yeah, I like this one. Yeah, so that everyone would be able to see our email. So whenever you have a question, please make sure you send it to telecomprogram@umd.edu. So I think now we are done with the appetizer. So it's now time for the main course. So I would like to ask our panelists, please come forward and take your seats here up in the front. Gerda, how are we doing? Okay. Yeah, then let's get started. Alrighty, so before we get to the questions, I would like to ask each panelist, maybe starting from left to right, please introduce yourselves and say a few words about your background.
Hello everyone. My name is Qingze Wang. I come from China, and you can call me Robert because I know Qingze is hard to pronounce for non-Chinese native speakers. And I just finished my first year here, and I'm going to do intern at Juniper this summer. And I think this program is a really good opportunity for you to, study more, learn more, and find a job here. It's a industrial-oriented program, and most of us have found an internship this summer, I think. Just as Dr. Safar just mentioned, there are metas. I think 3 of us have got interns from Amazon, and also I know a guy got an intern from Samsung. So,
Qingze, sorry, would you mind speaking up a little bit? And that's the mic, so try to direct your voice into that. Yeah, while you guys are talking, I think it's okay to take off the mask if you would like to do that. That's fine.
Yeah, and I think it's also a really good place for us to study. As professors just mentioned, we have access to multiple labs, I think at least 3 or 4 labs, and one is just for our own, and I really enjoy studying there because a lot of computers or screens there for me to type some things. And also I think the after class life is really, really fascinating, and I learned swim here, and I also learned how to play badminton, and I just joined our school team, and maybe next semester I can represent our school to play some match there. And also there are a lot of big sports matches there for us to enjoy, and yelling for them to release pressure here. And also next month I'm going to perform at Carnegie Hall in New York. This is really a good chance to enjoy American cultures, join their join their communities, and to meet some new friends. And what else? Okay, so
yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, really welcome you here, and some of you have already contacted me through LinkedIn, and you can also welcome to ask me more questions about this. Okay.
Okay, so hi everyone, my name is Zhao Xinpang. I'm from China and I just joined the ENTS last semester from spring 2022. And that's all I need.
Yeah. What is your area of interest? Would you mind sharing that with the audience? Or like networking?
Maybe later.
Maybe later? Okay,
Yeah.
Still thinking about it.
Okay.
All right, that's fair enough.
Hi everyone, I'm Ashwati Anand. I'm from India. I'll be graduating this semester. So my domain of interest is networking, and I'll be joining Hughes Networks as a network automation engineer after graduation. The program offers it gives equal importance to both wireless as well as networking. So you can choose your particular stream and you can focus on that. So pretty much about it.
Yeah. Thank you. And then Dhruv?
Hi everyone, my name is Dhruv. I am also from India. My domain of interest is in the wireless field. I will be working as an intern at Lightpoint in the RF design department. Apart from that, like everyone's pointed out, there are a lot of courses, and it works as the perfect bridge between technology and business. So I think this is a great chance for everyone to come forth and go ahead. So it's nice to meet you all.
Yeah. Thank you very much, guys. So then let's get started with our first question.
Why did you choose the ENTS program at UND?
Yeah, so let me repeat those because people may not hear that. So the question is, why did you choose the ENTS program? What reason made you decide to come here? You guys can take it any order. All of you can respond to that or skip if you would like to. Yeah, Dhruv, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So the program fascinated me because there are a lot of management courses offered as well. And like our professors pointed out, it isn't your conventional graduate program. You have 4 electives in management, and they give you an overview of all the firms, telecommunication firms, and a brief history of what they went through. Because in your corporate life, you're going to go through the same experiences as well. So it's again a very fascinating view to go through the same. And I enjoy a blend of both technical and business fields. So it was a great opportunity. And apart from that, again, the courses are something which offer a deep dive and practical hands-on knowledge of what I was interested in. And I think the combination of that really appealed to me. So I think that was one of the main reasons I joined.
Okay. You guys can also.
Okay, I can see. So the one thing I think really great in the ENTS is that we have very special bond between the graduation students and the current students. So nearly every month or every week, we can receive some email from the previous students who graduate from the ENTS and to give us the information they have some open position in their companies and help others to get to know what the position is and help others whoever wants to have an internship there and have a full-time job there. I think that's a really special bond. I cannot see this special bond in other programs. So that is one thing I really like about the ENTS.
So I wanted to join the ENTS program because it was more it had a more practical approach to learning than other universities. And apart from the basic fields, wireless and networking, it also offers other courses which such as cloud computing and IoT, which are from other fields. So you can also explore other fields apart from the major fields you're interested in. So that way you could improve your skill set.
Yeah, and I think for the guys, if you want to future working in the US or find a job here, the network industry and the wireless industry is a very, very huge market there for you to work in, and it's very easy for us to find a job, I think. I started finding an intern really, really late. I think in March, but I found it in April. I started was too late, but I found that the market is so huge because after COVID and every company is hiring so many people. So I think it's a really great opportunity here if you want to have some great opportunities here.
Okay, thank you. Next one.
What kind of housing opportunities are there for UND students? What is the associated cost?
Yeah, so the question is, if you come here, obviously you would need to find a place to live. So please let us know about what kind of housing opportunities there are, how you found your housing solution, and kind of give us like a price range of how much it would cost.
Yeah, actually, I'm recently considering to move to another one, so I'm looking at it. So there are so many apartments here and also some houses here. If you want to live with your with some other classmates and with some friends, and I think house is a really good opportunities, a good chance, good choice for you, and the price is really low. I think it's about from 500 to 700, I think. And if it's apartment, it's a little bit expensive, and I think it's 1,000 or more. I think that's it.
Before I came to American, I found my house through several ways. First thing is that I go to some website called apartment.com. I can see all the apartment around the UMD, and I can see how many apartment there's, and I go to their website to see if there are available rooms for us. And for apartment, there are shared room, there are studios, there are 4-bedroom. Somehow they the cost from 500 to 2,000 is really different. And another thing is that you can always find some house there rent from the house owner in the Facebook or in any group you can find on the websites. So there are lots of ways to find any room you want, and they have different price for anybody who need that.
Okay. Do you guys would you like to add something to that, or?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So how I found it is, like pointed out earlier, there were a couple of groups online that I was able to join, and I just came into contact with people. There are places like, for graduate students, there are places called Graduate Hills and Graduate Gardens. There's another apartment called Parkside. The price range lies in the ballpark of 500 to 800, like Robert pointed out. And again, it's much easier to go online and look for groups. There are multiple groups where you can find current UMD students who are looking for people in the apartment. There are 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom apartments, so you shouldn't be facing any problem in that. And apart from that, there are also like independent housings where the price range will vary. So again, hopefully you can look online and find related groups for that, which should help you out.
Okay. All right, the next one, please.
What was the most difficult/challenging part of the program?
So the question was, what did you find as the most difficult or challenging part in this program? It was easy peasy? Or your whole experience, we can maybe, kind of make it more general, like, coming to the US, maybe culture shock, maybe whatever it is, like in your whole journey, including the academic side.
I can take that question. Yeah. So according to me, the most challenging part was the scholarly paper. So I would recommend everyone to start it as early as possible. So I read my last semester. So I mean, that's why it was kind of challenging, because I was amid job search, and I was also graduating. So I had a couple of other courses, and I also had a part-time. So as I said, it's always better to start as early as possible. Then it would mitigate all problems which can occur in the future.
Okay. Anyone else would like to share their most difficult experience?
Not maybe the most challenging per se, but the courses here, definitely you have an interest for them, and but you shouldn't take them lightly. You need to always focus on them and study as much as you can. They require a lot of time, effort, and dedication from your end, so you need to be really, really serious about them. And apart from that, again, it hasn't been very challenging per se. We've met a lot of nice people over here on the way. It's been easy settling in, and I've been lucky enough to meet a lot of people who've made the transition much easier. So yeah, you'll find people who'll help you out with the journey. You'll find your current students in the program who'll help you out with the subjects. So you shouldn't worry about that stuff per se. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I think one challenging part is that this is the first time most of people to get to know some business course. So before that, I think most of people come from the CS or E compartment. They never learn about the business course before. So for me, for business course, they're totally different with the course I had before. We need to read a lot of articles, write a lot of essays. That's really difficult for me because for me, I'm not a native speaker, and that's really a lot for me to spend time to that. So I think at the very first semester, you need to balance the time you spend on the business course and the other technique course, and that's very challenging for me.
I just it just remind me for one thing that Dr. Safar let us to write down some codes there instead of typing. At first, I can't understand this because why cannot we use a keyboard there? But actually, it's already solved when I found that if you have some interview with Google or some big companies, they require you to write something down instead of typing something, and they think that it's a better way for you to check your whole understanding for the coding skills. Yeah. So I think this is the most challenging part, but you need that.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, so Gerda, please.
How large are the classes? What are the typical format for the classes, lectures, lab, etc.?
All right. So the question is, please let us know about the format of the classes, lectures or lab, the format, maybe about the exams or quizzes, and also the average class sizes. Yeah, any one of you can go. Yeah, please.
Oh, actually, this is my first semester, so I only have 3 courses right now. So for me, for business course, they have a bigger class, like 13 people, around 13 people in every business course. But in technology course, there might be few people. For me, like 7 people in my course. And that's really great because small group, you can have more discussions and you can have more attention from the teachers, you can learn more. And I think that's really a great thing about this program.
Like she said, you'll have the management electives where you'll have a lot of students from around 25 to 30, but also specialized electives, for example, in wireless or networking, you'll have smaller class sizes since it's more specialized. So maybe in the range of 10 to 15 people. So in this semester, I was in one technical elective that had around 12 people and another technical elective which had around 5 people. But on the other hand, I was in a general elective class that had around 30 people. So it all depends on what subject you're taking, whether it's a general elective or whether it's a specialized. But a general elective usually has a lot of students, and as you become specialized, the number keeps going down.
And for the courses format, you can log into your testtutor.umd.edu and find the syllabus for every courses. They have every details there. If they have quizzes, if they have exercise, if they have lab, if they have discussions there, and how much percent they're gonna be taking the final final grade there, and I think most of the classes are really, have midterm and final term and some quizzes there and homework. Yeah, you can find that on the syllabus.
Can you discuss how the business courses are applicable in current career if you had a job or internship? How did you find the business courses applicable to them?
Actually, you did do an internship, right?
No.
No? Okay. Then you guys are just going for an internship right now. So, yeah, we may not be able to answer that given, the student's experience.
You want to answer it, or should I?
Well, yeah, since I have the mic, maybe that's just easier for me.
There's a quick
So typically, whenever you're going for your internship or whenever you're doing your first, 6 months on your job, you will not see a lot because most of the students would start in a technical role. However, as you gain more and more experience and then you would like to advance your career, you would like to become a manager. So now you're not working on a strictly technical thing, but rather you would start managing people, managing projects. then the business aspect will be much, much more important.
You forgot to mention the question.
Yeah, oh, I didn't, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. So the question was, what kind of relevance do you see, in your kind of either internship or full-time experience for the business courses? So what was the importance of the business courses?
Do classes have project/group work component? If so, are they useful?
Okay, so the question is, do you or have you gone through any courses that had a project component, and how useful or how interesting you found those projects? Yeah, in any order, you guys can go ahead.
So almost all technical courses have a project associated with it. So it's like it will definitely help you in your career, especially in your job interviews. You get to talk about those projects, and that will definitely improve your chances of getting a job, because you have more hands-on experience in implementing technologies which you have learned in school.
Mm-hmm. Please.
Yeah, just as Ashwati said, almost every subject will definitely have a project associated with it. In my first semester, I'd taken Professor Delomo's ENTS 656, and there was a downlink simulation project which we had to work on for a month. And it's challenging, but then you get to learn a lot in the process. And while I was doing my internship search, I'd included the project, and I was able to talk for it for a good 5 to 10 minutes during each and every interview, because that's what recruiters look for. So like I said, you'll find multiple projects that you'll get to do as the semesters progress, and it's definitely an added advantage because you can talk about it, and the interviewer will ask you questions related to it and based on how you proceeded with the problem statement. So yeah, the remote.
Okay, would you guys like to add anything to that?
Yeah, I think there's another elective course from Dr. Safar, is 749E Network Automation, and we also have a project here, and it's quite free. He has some suggestions for us, and we can choose whatever we want to add into it and to make it greater to write into a resume or talk to an interviewer. And we also learned a lot there. We were divided into groups with two students, and it's not very hard, but it depends on how much you want to work in it and how much you want to study. I think that's it. Really useful project.
Okay, Gerda, please.
Are there any summer intern and co-opportunity for ENTS students?
Yeah, so the question is, guys, please talk about your summer internship. Since many of you first year, so you're just going on, and please describe what kind of internship you do, and then maybe Ashwati, since you're going out and graduating, so maybe you can talk about your role, after graduation. So yeah, in any order, please.
Maybe I go first because I'm the first semester here, so I cannot find an internship during the summer. So actually, you need to get into the American for more than 6 months before you get an internship. So if you came in the spring semester, you cannot find an internship in this summer vacation, but you can find an internship in next summer. So.
Yeah, so that's an immigration requirement, right? So,
yeah.
So unfortunately, if you're a spring admit, then right after your first semester, you don't qualify. That's an immigration requirement. It's not a technical block or something, right? So that applies to every student.
Yeah, and for the internship part, another my advice is you should really apply it as early as possible. In November and December for the next summer's internship program. And my job role is quite like retrieve some configurations, just use the automation tools, and just do some analysis and to make them well organized for the researchers to do some machine learnings. So it's I haven't started yet, but I think it's a quite challenging project, and it's a really good opportunity. And Dr. Delomo once told me that if you do it really well, and they're gonna give you a return offer, and maybe for the next spring, and you're gonna have an opportunity to work 20 hours a week, for the vacation we can work 40 hours a week, but if this semester is coming, we can only work 20 hours a week during that. So if they give you a return offer, that means they acknowledge your abilities to work with them. So that's a great chance to.
Would you mind sharing your job title and the company you're going to?
Yeah, I'm going to intern at Juniper Networks, and my title will be software test engineer, and use some codes, software skills to, just do something with the configuration and analysis.
So like Robert said, it's always a great idea to start early with your internship applications. The months of June to August are always a good time to go for an internship because you have 3 months and it's a great experience. You get to work with the company for a while before the semester starts. Apart from that, I will be interning with Lightpoint as a field application engineering intern. Some of what I do is mainly to do with software-defined radios. I'll be working with RF equipment in the different bands and basically just doing QA assurance. So the rest of it I'll learn as I work on the internship, and hopefully I'll be able to tell you better. But it's mainly to work with equipment and learn as much as I can. So basically these 3 months are always a good time to do the same.
Okay.
With respect to full time, again, you should start applying as early as possible. I would recommend at least 6 months before graduation. It's better if you start at least 6 months before graduation and start applying and start preparing for full-time roles. So I'll be joining Hughes Network Systems as a network automation engineer, and my responsibilities primarily include using Python scripts and Ansible for configuration of various networking devices, along with the use of SDN in enhancing the technology.
Okay, thank you very much.
Can they elaborate on how they applied? Where did they go to apply for their internship and jobs?
Yeah, so if you guys, I think that's a very good idea. So did you have a website, or did you have a friend, or did you get an email from the ENTS program, or how did you end up finding that one opportunity? Yeah, please.
So there are multiple avenues which you can explore. Like Professor said, there are always students, ex-alumnus who always reach out to you when there are openings in their company, and you have to submit your resume. So that's much easier because you just submit your resume and you're always considered and referred. How I did my internship search was I applied through LinkedIn, and whenever there was a requirement, I would see if my qualifications and what I had studied was applicable to that. And I started looking for internships around December, and I was able to get one in March. So if a recruiter is interested, they'll send you an email or reach out to you and communicate with you, and it's usually a couple of interview rounds and technical rounds that take place. Apart from that, some useful sites are Career for Engineer. That's always good. The folks there always look to critique your resume and how you can modify it or customize it to suit the industry requirements. And yes, there are a plethora of avenues you can explore, but the ones I used were LinkedIn, alumnus referrals, and Career for Engineer.
There are various avenues available, like as Dhruv said. So apart from LinkedIn, you also have other job sites such as WayUp, and you have Ripple.com, and you have Handshake, and so many other websites which help you with the job application process. And we also have Career for Engineers and Career for Terps here at campus, and they also post various jobs which are available in the market.
Two things to add. The first one, you can just go into the Career for Engineers to do your resume critique, and they're gonna tell you how to write a cover letter, how to write a resume to make you looks better, and also what are other things? Yeah, you can just search from the big companies' websites. Just like if you want to work for Google, you can try to Google.com, there are career, and click career there, and to find what kind of roles they are hiring, and you can just send them your resume. And just feel free to send as many as possible. I sent about 100 or more, and then I got 4 or 5 responses, and yeah, they gave me interview March, and it was about 2 hours, and after that I got that just in that week.
This one's for the faculty. What kind of programming language are taught as part of the program?
Okay, so maybe I can. So the question is, what kind of programming language we usually teach? And I would say that the short answer is Python. We have some courses that we offer every once in a while that would require C. We used to teach some Java back in the day, but I think currently Python is the #1 programming language. So that's the one that we focus most on, and then that's what you will be exposed to.
Okay. Does this program have any research aspect?
Well, the question is whether we do any research. So, yeah, again, the short answer is no. Like I said, we are kind of industry-oriented, and we really focus on kind of giving students the skills that they will need when they kind of join the industry after graduation. However, we still run certain projects, in particular the 5G group. I wouldn't say they do research in the sense that they are like 15 years ahead of the current technology trends and they publish in conferences and journal papers. However, they do take certain aspects of technology a little bit further, and they explore something which is closer to the current cutting edge. So something that is already existing, or it's already kind of spread around, and then they would use those projects to learn more about it. So they are more kind of R&D type of projects, not really kind of the pure research.
How long does it take to complete the program?
Oh, yeah. So most students take 4 semesters. That's kind of the typical. However, there are extreme cases at both ends. Some students who really want to finish and who are really good, they can do it in 3. I think shorter than 3 is unheard of, or at least I have not since I joined. Like that was almost 12 years ago.
Been done once.
Oh, okay, yeah.
It wasn't pleasant.
Yeah, exactly. And then we have some part-time students who obviously take longer. So they would take maybe 1 or 2 courses per semester, and then they might be around for maybe 4 or 5 years. But most international students would take 2 years.
How flexible are the courses? Basically, I guess, can you just take random classes? What is the process?
Yeah, like the whole curriculum structure. So yeah, from our perspective, if you decide to come to this program, you would need to take basically 10 courses for 30 credits. So it's 3 credits per course. We have 4 business core courses, 4 technical core courses. And then if you take those 8 courses, then you're left with 2 electives. However, we offer a placement exam where you can kind of show your competency level in some of our technical core courses. And if you pass the placement exam, then you will have the option of replacing that core course with another elective if you would like to.
As an ENTS student, I'm not interested in business courses. Can I bypass those business courses for some?
Yeah, so the question is, can I bypass the business courses? No. Unfortunately, that's very, very difficult. You would need to show that you have taken the equivalent of those graduate level courses, which is kind of difficult. I mean, unless you go to the business school and take them directly with them, but since the material is pretty much the same, so the same business course instructors teach the course, the material is very, very similar. The main difference is that when they take kind of their use cases or examples, they come from telecom industry and not, I don't know, the paint business or, whatever, so you will pretty much get the same material as you would, get if you were to kind of take these courses as a part of an MBA program. Okay.
For the students, how would one spend his or her free time in DC, and what kind of fun things do you do?
So the question is, yeah, okay, it's great. I am, whatever, studying my butt off, getting good grades, but, there's also life. So what do you guys do in your free time? And in particular, have you participated in any kind of DC-oriented activities? Have you gone downtown? Have you explored the environment kind of nearby? I just heard that Chinza might go up to New York City, kind of shorter trips around the area. So what do you guys do for your free time, if there's any?
I have three basic things to recommend, and the first one is the national park, American national parks. If they found a name, there's a national park word there, then it would be absolutely beautiful and you can enjoy yourself there. And another one is there are 7 or 8 big museums in Washington, D.C., and they're all very, very great, and you can learn a lot there. And the third one, I think, is I've got that.
But here on campus, you do a lot of sports, right? So maybe you can talk about that.
Sports.
The Appli Center, you can talk because that's really awesome.
The Appli Center has a big swimming pool and have some gym equipment, and also they have 4 badminton courts, and there are also some many sports clubs there. And you can, if you want to play volleyball, if you want to do some boxing or whatever you want, you can find a club here. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, so for me, like, I go to swim every week. So one thing about UMD is they have a lot of equipment and they're totally free for all the students. So actually also they have, like, every week they may have some contacts about the sports, about the musicians. They have some meetings every week. They have some orientation every week, and you can choose whatever you want. And they're free for every student, and they're a good chance to expand your horizon something.
Yeah, for me, the Smithsonian's are a great place to go in DC if you're into history and art. And apart from that, there are a lot of football and basketball games on campus, and you usually get tickets to go to them. And I think it's usually once or twice a month, and the atmosphere is usually very enjoyable. So there's that. And apart from that, you can always engage in sports activities. Like Robert said, Appli is a great place to go to. And there are a lot of lakes and hiking trips which you can go to, which are around Maryland, and it's again a great time. So there is no shortage of things you can do to unwind.
So College Park is at close proximity to Washington DC, and there's so many museums in DC, and so many historical monuments. So you can definitely visit those places, and also you can also visit New York City, and there are it's pretty close when compared to DC, and you can also visit Virginia. There are a couple of national parks there, so that will definitely be pretty good.
I just remember what the third thing is, and there are some UMD Student Association, and including ECEGSA, that for the Graduate Student Association. And they're gonna have after COVID, they told me that they're gonna have one event every week. So maybe you go to the Botanic Garden, maybe you go skating, and they have some discount there if they go with them with a group. So that's the third thing I want.
Okay, thank you guys.
Can you guys talk about transportation on campus, how students can use the shuttle and different free services that you found that were useful?
So how do you get around campus, right? That's the question. Do you find the infrastructure provided by the UMD useful, or you just have a bike or roller skate or whatever?
So I use shuttles and bus to go around campus every day. So I think one thing is that they provide a lot of roads. You can go to nearly everywhere with the shuttles and the bus. But one thing that the time, you need to schedule your time accordingly to the bus time, and they're not that friendly, to be said. they may have some conflict with your class. So every time like I go to a class, I may be like an hour earlier or half hour earlier, or after class I need to wait for a half hour to get the next bus. So I think it's important to find a place to live where really near to the bus stop, and because bus is the major transportation I use here.
Okay.
And my recommendation is you can buy a car here, because it seems expensive, but actually it's not. My friends came last year, and he bought a car with 5,000 bucks, and then he just sold it at 8,000, I think. So I think it's just free. And my another friend bought a Mercedes for 40,000 bucks, but then she just sold it at the same price. So you just need to pay for the gasoline. You just need to pay for the parking. And I enjoyed the road trip, so I bought a car.
Okay. Any other comments on on-campus transportation?
Yeah, I mean, there are a lot of shuttles. The timings are fixed, and you need to travel in accordance with the scheduled buses. There's an app called NextBus. You can find out when the shuttles are traveling. There are also F6s and C2s which come they're very regular, so there is that. But apart from that, there are students who use bikes, there are students who buy e-scooters and travel, who don't want to wait for buses and want to reach class exactly or around 5 minutes early. But I usually just travel by shuttles because I find that very convenient, or I walk to campus because it's very close to where I stay.
Okay, thank you.
Can we talk about the weather?
Oh yeah, so the question is, guys, would you kind of tell us about what you think about the local weather here?
Be honest.
How to get ready for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the weather here is not as cold as compared to like the northern regions in the US, and also it's not that hot either. But sometimes it becomes unpredictable, and it's like hot during the day and then it rains at night. So I would say it's unpredictable, but then it definitely doesn't reach the extreme. So it's pretty good when compared to other places.
The winter.
So how would you compare that to your home country? Did you have any surprises like snow or ice or something?
Yeah, so I grew up in Dubai. So Dubai is like basically a really hot place. So I comparatively during summers I did not find Maryland that hot, and during winters it did reach 0 degree and minus 2 or 3, -2 or -3, but it didn't really go beyond that. So it's pretty good, I would say.
For me, I come from China, and I think the temperature here is actually similar to where I've lived before. But one thing is that they're really unpredictable. So maybe in March, there will be sometimes really cold, like maybe 2 or 3 degrees the day, but the next week they're really hot. So it's unpredictable. So you may need to change your clothes every day to suit the weathers.
I think it depends on how much you want to stay outside the building, because inside the building, the temperature is the same the whole year. They always take on the air conditions to keep the temperature at the same level. So if you don't spend too much time outside, then I think it's fine.
You should always check your phone before traveling out for the weather updates, because it might be extremely hot at 3 p.m., but then at 5:30 or 5 p.m. it might start raining, and at night it might become extremely cold. So the weather is it fluctuates, and you should always have a heads up or carry a jacket in case it becomes too cold. But apart from that, it's when it's cold, and in the winter it was pretty enjoyable. I mean, it snowed here, so that was fun, and it was my first time seeing snow, so I really enjoyed that. But apart from that, it can get unpredictable at times, but that's fine here.
That word keeps popping up. Unpredictable.
Yeah. All right, Gerda, do we have some more?
Did any of you guys have on-campus jobs?
Yeah. So do you have any experience getting on-campus jobs, like, some sort of GA thing or hourly position, that sort of thing?
I'll go with that. I was the teaching assistant for ENTS 640, and so that was like a pretty good experience. And I was also the grader for ENTS 641 and ENTS 625.
I found a greater position for Dr. Safar as in EB 352, and yeah, it's also a great job. I think more suggestions are coming from Drew. he got
So I work as a graduate assistant in the Department of Planning and Construction. It's usually 20 hours a week. So, I mean, I just started this semester, so it's usually tricky managing your classes and your schedule around your part-time. But if you plan everything in advance, you can always work at both, and it's more fun that way.
So what is your role? What kind of things are you supposed to do?
I usually work on the portal that they have, and apart from that, my responsibilities include web scraping, working on Excel, and it's mainly a coding-oriented role. And we just run a couple of scripts every week to generate a few reports. We upload them on the portal, and I report to a manager, and I get weekly tasks. So I just have to ensure that the flow is smooth and assist in the process.
Okay, thank you. All right. Okay, no more questions for now? Okay. Alrighty, well, yeah, we are kind of, well, we've been...
Make up other questions. But that's fine, because I get questions, so I can pull some questions.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's time, so let's call it a day. So guys, thank you very much for your help and answering the questions. We definitely appreciate your point of view, because it's unique. And I think with that, it's time to close today's event. So for those who tuned in, thank you very much for participating. And I think what we are going to do is get this video and somehow make it available for everyone, either via a link or posting it on our YouTube channel. So those who couldn't participate would still get a chance to review it and watch it and gain the information out of it. So again, thank you very much for your attention. And with this, we would close today's event. Have a nice day, and we definitely hope that this was useful, that you learned something from us, and we definitely hope to see you guys during the fall semester here. Thank you very much, and bye.